I'll say Bekitzer, the Rishim of the things from Chumash B'Shvat. Everyone read the list when they were eating the Shivas Aminim. Just to go over these things, Rebbe says to be Ma'ir on it today. It should also, so all Yidden, to be Mischazik and all Nyana Avoid of Eretz Chita Seira Gefen Tein Avrim and Eretz Hashem and Udvash. Rebbe's Mazan Nesicha. Eretz is the Yin of Avoida, Charisha. Eretz is also goes on Bnei Yisrael because Yidden are Katam Tili Eretz Chepetz. Every Yid has unbelievable amount of treasures, hidden treasures. And it's through the Avoida, Yerid Tzarech Aliyah, the Yin of Malacha, through that we're Megala, the Maila that's in a Yid. And Mamata Lamaila, that means from easier, from Menakala Lakovid, first the Yid does the Avoida of Chita, that means Nefesh Alikis, Pashut, Emunah Pshuta. This doesn't mean, don't get confused. Always in Chassidus we say that like the Avodah Nefesh Alikis is much harder than the Avodah Nefesh Bahamas. The whole week's tefillah is Nefesh Bahamas. Then Shabbos is tefillah instead of Nefesh Alikis. Here that so I would say Nefesh Alikis is harder. Here we're speaking in the Lav Davkin Avodah Tefillah and Pash the Avodah Munah Pshuta V'Yid. A Yid begins because he's a neshama, he has a Munah Pshuta, and that's why he does mitzvahs. Then he grows up a little more. Then he realizes he's told that he also has a Nefesh Bahamas, and he has to einspannen also to take the guf. Nefesh Bahamas, that's the idea of Sa'ira, feed your animal. That's, I guess, a young adult or a teenager is to start doing that avodah. Then obviously it can't stay just like that. Yetzer Zayin has to be in the way of simcha. That's the gefen, smech, elikim va'anoshim. That's side avodah nefesh elikis, side avodah nefesh Bahamas, elikim va'anoshim. And then it's Ta'ena, that he has effect when it's mitech simcha, he's able to do it, that even his levushim become lichtike levushim. Ta'ena is the clothes, Yispru ali Ta'ena, the clothes of Adam and Chava, and the Meir Sepetera, he says kosnes oir with an aleph, that it was a clothes, but it was a lichtike kleid, which means the person has to have effect that his machshava dibra ma'isi is already doing the way it should from his nefesh alikis. That's basics. That's a beinani. But here the vart is to make it taka perfect. That on its own, the levush itself. Rebbe gives a dogma to this in another place. That it's like sometimes you're busy with something, so you don't notice that someone's telling you shalom aleichem. So you didn't do anything wrong that you ignored him, because you didn't ignore him b'mezid. You were busy doing something else. But Pa'il Mamish, though, he has an afilas ruach. He gets a little offended that you didn't tell him hello. You didn't answer him. So that means in your levushim, it was missing a little bit of the conduct mitzad the levush. Mitzad the gavra b'chlolus, you were okay. You didn't do anything wrong. Mitzad the etzel levush, someone told you hello, you should answer back hello. So that's a person, after a person doing the avodah, never shalikis, never shabahamis, and the simcha, simcha spirits gather, it's able to make that even the levush mitzad atzma should be a lichtike levush, that there shouldn't be any of these type of mistakes. The anhaga should be a proper anhaga mitzad atzma. Then this is all biyachas the anhaga in zich, mid zich, things that are mamish close to him, and even take it a step further. Rimoin is connected the mitzvahs kerimin, but we're already full of mitzvahs from Chita Seira. What's the vart over here? The vart over here is because like all the seeds are separate in a rimoin, which represent the mitzvahs the way they're done, the way a gavra does a mitzvah. It's all one akuda. An inim vresi the shamash is kaini. It's all kusha to his neshama to doing the right thing. But the way it is biyachas to the olam of l'tzarif Sabrius, Latzarif Esa'ilam, there it's everything different. That's because Velt is Alma de Pruda, and everything has his birur. So the idea of that it should be perfect, even mitzad the Velt, that the mitzvah mitzad atzmai in the Velt should be Tachlis Ashleimus, that's the inyan of Rimoin. Then It says again Eretz, which that represents there's even a bigger Yerida than Zman Golus, and where things are much harder, so it needs much more Chafira, much more Yigia. And the reason for this Yerida is that a person should their Grunteve and come to Zei Shemen Udvash. Zei Shemen it has on one hand the bitterness of Shemen. You Mezanaise Mirulim Kazayis. It means Kazayis is bitter. It's the Melirus of Golus, and which means it's also the Avodah Melirus that a person is supposed to be asking Hashem with the Melirus for Admosai. But that leads to the crushing those Zayis and getting the Shemen, which is in the Primus Atayra, until Dvash, it says in the Pasuk, Dvash v'chol tachas l'shaynech, which says clearly is the secrets of Mashiach will be sweet like honey. That's the Torah of Mashiach. It says in the Hara, the difference of Zei Shemen and Dvash. Zei Shemen is the way Chassidus comes, but still has the bittersweet taste of Golus, where the Dvash is just the Gilui, the Geshmaket of the Torah of Mashiach, Kamoishu, the Etzem. So this is the outcome of the Golus. That means this is what comes through the Golus, and this also gives the Yid the Koyach during the Golus. After that Eretz is in order to their Grunteve to Zei Shemen Udvash. Mela the Ra is the Rav Shanu Lilanis to be Nischazik and all these things, and to be Madgish as well the Shaykhis of Yidin to Eretz Yisrael, because it's Perish Nishtabcha B'em Eretz Yisrael. V'yishlo Oirer al Gamal Dvar Shmira al Shleimus Yisrael Eretz Yisrael Le'vata Le'gamri Ka'afra Da'ara. Soko daitoch v'adibra advar mesira shtochim eretz Yisrael shev'yedenu lumas elam la'elam afilu lo'isha alechod afilu lo'chut ha'sayra elo lishmer al shleimus ha'aretz b'yachadem shleimus amar shleimus atelo shleimus mishleshes v'nitzvos. This is one of the things which is nischazik today. Yeah, I'm being mischazik and all this brings the Geula and brings the shleimus of eretz Yisrael Kari Mamish. So this is we have Yisro. There's Yisro, there's also B'chol Yivarch Yisro, which is a chibur of Yisro and Mishpatim. We'll start with Yisro. Very, very special sikha. First we'll say it, then we'll highlight some points which could be noticed over here. The Kudah the Sikha, the Rebbe Shtelzich and them, that of course the Seres HaDibris, that's probably the most chashiv's thing in this week's Parsha. That the Seres HaDibris, which is the Iker of Kol Terekula, the Rasag says all the Taryag mitzvahs come from, as Merumas in the Seres HaDibris. So it's repeated twice in Torah. It says it this week in V'eschanon, in this week in Yisro, and then Moshe Rabbeinu repeats it in V'eschanon. So the question is, if it's such a chashuva thing, in other words, this is Klal Torah, so why is it repeated twice? Why? Meaning, so the reason it's repeated is Moshe Rabbeinu is repeating it in V'eschanon and saying what happened back in Yisro. But because it's the Klal Torah and it's repeated twice in Torah, that means there's a klolistika hayra from both of them, and there's yesh b'zeh Hashem b'zeh. There's something we learn about from the Seres HaDibris in Yisro. There's something we learn from the Seres HaDibris in V'eschanon. The Haaretz, you notice that there's long Haaretz. There's that, even though there's differences of both times, like the first time it says Zohar, the second time it says Shomer. The first time it doesn't say Kasher Tzivcha, but in the second time in V'eschanon, where it comes to Kibud Av'eim, it says Kasher Tzivcha Hashem Aleikecha, which that doesn't say the first time, because here it's Hashem is speaking. But, so besides the Kasher Tzivcha, but like the Zohar Shomer, Hashem said it both times. She says that Moshe Rabbeinu was explaining it more to the Yidden in the second time, so he was madgish more the shomer, because that's something more that the Yidden understood than Zohar. What is Zohar? The shomer is more that they relate to, and Kasher Tzivcha is he gave them more understanding in it. But any other of the strong diyukim is both from the Eibishter. So it was said the first time as well. So what's the idea? What's the idea of it being repeated? Then another thing in the Ha'ar is that we're saying that it was said the first time. We know that Hashem really said all the dibris v'vasachas, and it was too much for us. And so we asked Hashem. No, first Hashem said everything at once, and then Hashem was mefaret anochi v'lo. Then we said it's too much. We have to hear from Moshe Rabbeinu, and Moshe Rabbeinu said the rest, the other 8. Which means that it's wrong to say that we heard. It's wrong to say that we heard all 10 pratis from the Eibishter. We only heard the first 2 pratis from the Eibishter. So Rebbe says, well, first of all, we heard all 10 at once in that first one, the one that was a klal for everything. Number 2, there's a pirush, there's a shita that says that when Moshe Rabbeinu was repeating it, Hashem said it together with him. So it was through Moshe Rabbeinu that sort of calmed it down, that made it that they could get it. But it wasn't like the way Moshe Rabbeinu was saying it 40 years later. That was, so to speak, just Moshe Rabbeinu. Here was Hashem with Moshe Rabbeinu. So either way, it's correct to say that the first Aseret Adibris, the way it's in Yisro, is each and every one of them is from Hashem. It's all together in once in the first time, and then Moshe Rabbeinu was specifying it, but it was still with the help of Hashem. So, glad on this is how the Rebbe stellt sich and his masbir the chiluk of Yisro and the Eschanon. The Yisro is direct from the Eibishter, and the Eschanon is from Moshe Rabbeinu. What do we need Moshe Rabbeinu if we have it already from the Eibishter? What's the uftu of the klal of Aseret Adibris after Yisro? What's the union of the Eschanon? So there's a whole arichas thing in Torah, which has a whole arichas thing in Dira B'Tachteinim. Torah has 2 inyanim. There's the way that Torah is way above the world, the way Torah was created, exists even before the world exists, and all the way that it's not the type of Torah exists. Torah is one with the Eibishter. There's another inyan in Torah that it was given and it came all the way down to us. Torah loy b'shamayim. It's meant to be understood, and it's dafka the way we paskin here lamata. The nafkamina b'poil is that mitzad, the fact that Torah is way above, that poils by us thinking of bittul. When you learn Torah, you have to learn it with birchas Torah, bretes be'eva, be'ziyah, malahalon. That it has to be, you're always saying the Dvar Hashem. Mitzad, that the Torah comes down, it has to come in Havana Vasaga. You have to understand what you're learning. This poils 2 things in the avodah of Dira B'Tachteinim. The Rebbe says in the Ha'ara that even though we say that this is going to be the difference of Torah and mitzvahs, since everything comes from Torah, we learned in this is Basal Ganim Mem Gimel. So we have to say that these 2 inyanim of Dira B'Tachteinim Gufa are both in Torah itself. There's inyan in Torah. What are these 2 things? In making a Dira B'Tachteinim, there's Lo Yisbarach B'Tachteinim, that for upbringing the Meibishter and Welt. So there has to be a Tnu in Torah, there has to be that B'china in Torah where you're just accepting the Eibishter. It has to be that inyan in Torah where it's coming down in the Welt. That's why there is the learning Torah in a way of bittul, that it's mamish, man malki rabbanon, the Eibishter is speaking here. It's the Eibishter is nisgale here in this section of Torah. There's also the inyan of Havana Vasaga in Torah. Havana Vasaga, that's making the Tachteinim, that it's coming and becoming part of the Tachteinim. Rebbe is ma'arich in this nekuda very much. And then says that this is the difference of the Dibris Yushenis, Dibris Achrenis. Dibris Yushenis enable us to connect to the Gilui HaEli and the Gilui of the Eibishter. Gilui Achrenis, which is coming through Moshe Rabbeinu, which is the Holy Moshe Rabbeinu Mumutza Machaber, Isho Elikim, Bein Hashem or Beinechem, that it's able to come down in Havana Masaga of a person. So it helps these 2 dibris the hayra of these two dibris is that we have the koiches. When we learn Torah, sai, like dibris yishenis, to be standing in front of the presence of Hashem. Sai, to learn in the Eifin of Havana Vasaga. And that also should go into our avodah, making a dir la'yisbarach matachtoinim. Sai, the ability of taka la'yisbarach, doing it taka for the sake of the Eibishter, and with the kavanah, hargasha, of taka la'yisbarach, and also the ability of doing it mamish b'tachtoinim. Here the Rebbe says, very interesting, that the reason you need both, I say interesting because always in Chassidus are always madgish the importance of Rebbe, the importance of Mamutza Machaber, the importance. Here the Rebbe is saying, the Rebbe quotes from Ranat, that you need both. Yesh b'zeh mashem b'zeh. The reason you need Moshe Rabbeinu is because, as we said before, Tachtoinim, and just mitzvah the Gilui Ha'elyon is going to be his battles of the Keiches Tachtoinim. That's the idea of a mamutza. The reason that there's the Eibishter, the concept, the first luchais, which was directly from the Eibishter, because in the end of the day, even though the Ashba of Moshe Rabbeinu is a b'china mamutza machaber, that it's without his slapshus, it's not that he is chas v'shalom changing anything. He gives the mashal of a mashpech. If you take water in a funnel, that it's the same water that comes out, but still it's not as original as the hamayver poyel gamkin. It's poyel shiyuchal iskabel b'neshamas Yisro. It's not the original thing. It's not as high, it's not as great as the Yidden themselves being able to have to relate with Hashem. Gili Elikus, there's something about direct with Hashem that, and we know, this it doesn't say it here, but this also comes b'koiche of Moshe Rabbeinu. He makes us that we should be able to stand, and because everything we get from b'koiche shel Moshe Rabbeinu. But his uftu is that we should be able to get direct, and Kilu putting himself on the side, let you get direct from the Eibishter. But that has so that's the Maila of Dibris Yushenis, the Gilu of the Eibishter. Sorin is, it's a little bit above our Kalim. That's what we have Yisro, Evdas Chanon, when Moshe Rabbeinu is repeating it, and it goes through the Kalim Prote. The Maila that we can make these two things of Dir Lo Yisbarach HaMitachtoinim, you have both Mailis of Lo Yisbarach HaMitachtoinim. And the Rebbe says that we have to say, or 62, the truth is that even Moshe Rabbeinu for sure was also making a Dir Lo Yisbarach. It's not like he was Chas V'Shalom just Achtoin. Elamai, it was still in the Eifin of the Welt is making a Keli for the Eibishter, but it's not. Emphasis this chelik, this is beikr nasicha chapei shvat, but l'chayr comes like this. That what we explained till now, I'm getting stuck here. I'm in the middle of Siv Zayin. That Dibris Rishenis is the Gilui Elyon, and Dibris and Veschanan is the Geder Atachton. But the emes is that even the real Tachtin is also in Dibris Rishenis. Elamai, that only happens once you already have the avodah of the Dibris Rishenis of Parshas Veschanan. If you just have the Dibris Rishenis, then the Maila of the Tachtonim that the Dibris Rishenis has will never happen. It will just throw away the Tachton. Once already a Bir V'Zikuch HaTachtin, which is the union of Dibris Achrenis, and then you connect that to the Dibris Rishenis, then the Dibris Rishenis can even get a deeper level of Tachton. And in the Rebbe's Isis, the Rebbe is saying that even when in making a dira lo yisbarich is b'pashas like a regular, making a dira. You have a home, you're inviting someone in your home, or he's living in the home, but the home and the person stay two things. It's just becoming a dira lo yisbarich. It's becoming a dira for him, which means in the Dibros Achreinis of Moshe Rabbeinu, that he Uftan in the Welt, Uftan in uns, that we should become a Dira Yisbarach. So Tak is it's our Metzias, but it's our Metzias being bottled to something else, a level of Hashem. So besides that, it's a lower level of Hashem, because we said the Dibros Achreinis is not as high as the Dibros Hashenis, but it's also to that level that we're being bottled is like something else. We become like a Dira, we're housing something else. She'enkin, when after that, you come back to the Dibros Hashenis and you bring in Atzmusa Yisbarach. So, number one, it's a higher level of Hashem. And also, Atzmusa Yisbarach penetrates the essence of the Dira, that the Dira and Atzmusa Yisbarach become one. That it becomes like, he becomes part of the wall. The walls and the one living in these walls become Chad Mamish, becomes Mamish one thing. So the Rebbe is saying in the Chibur of both of these things happen not just like, happens al derech, like Yaveh Shlishi, when you have two together, happens even a higher thing. The Dibros Hashenis Atzmai has a higher Dibros Shnis Atzmai has Kilu the Welt. But really the Welt is still separate from the that it has. You take the Welt and you take with a high then that takes Megala the Koyach of the higher that it takes the Etzem of the Welt. The Etzem of the Welt becomes one with this Etzem of this higher The middle Rebbe says in Ches, that's the Shlemos of both things together. And that's what happens when we're Mechaber, we have Yisro and Veshanan together. The Rebbe connects this to this is the Uftu of Yud Shvat, because Yud Shvat is Yud in Chodesh Shvat is Chodesh Achad Asar. And Yud is the union of Shlemos, the union of Teva, so it's the union of L'mayla Teva coming in Teva. It's Mudgush, especially this higher level that we said that's Nizgale. When you have the higher, after the number two, when you go back to number one, you have a higher level. That's Nizgale in Yud Aleph Shvat, in Tavshin Yud Aleph. As we explained, there was Mitzayim, like we explained last week. That then Yud Aleph comes out in a higher way, which that makes a higher and more taking the Metzias Tachtainim. And that is bringing out even more, or the same thing in Chav Beis, which Chav Beis is a chibur. It's Rabbi here just says here that it's a double of achadasar, which is the Chav Beis Eisis HaTorah, which is mechaber all the inyanim together. That was Mitzayin. That's the next sikha as well. In Chaim Mushka. So this chibur is mudgash is enabled only in our der. So right away, this reminds us of the Gimel Shvat sikha. That this ability of Heisis, that the Rebbe is this B'riu Kol Nahirin, and that it comes, and it could come, that Ar Nechicha Yir Neviecha, that we're all Mitzuveh, and the big schus that we have, to be the peh of the Torah of Nasi Doreinu, that it's able to come, that Er Alein comes through us and to become one with us, it's a special nesinas koyach, which is not, you can't just say let's just take it for granted. It's a ferish not taken for granted. It's a ferish to having both of these luchais, but for thousands of years it was a koyach. The Rebbe, the Friedrich Rebbe brought it. It came more b'shleimus Yud Shvat Tavshin Yud Aleph, and more than a sense Yud Aleph Tavshin Yud Aleph, and more Chapei Shvat. And as we're getting closer to the Geula, this ability becomes more and more. That's Keshet Parshas Mishpatim, Mar Yisheni Misinai, Pelu Misinai, that the union of Kabbalah Sel of Sinai comes into Tam B'das and Seichel. So the idea is that we should know that now, sounds mamish like also Boy, the union of Spiriu Kol Nahirin, Go Boy El Pare, where we have all the keiches to take the highest levels of Matan Torah and Pasha bring it into Havana Vasaga. That's like the idea here. That in Limud Torah should be sighing away of Bittul and sighing away of Havana Vasaga. And we have the Kayach also, because Miyad is also a remes for the Sinyan, because it's Moshe Yisrael David. That means we have Sai, Moshe, which is the union of Moshe is the union of Dibris Achreinis, that it goes through Metzias Adam. Sai Yisrael, that's the Baal Shem Tov. That's the union of Sasim. That's like Dibris Rishonis. And it's all Miyad, it's coming together. We have the Keiches, Rebbe says we have now Miyad, the Mem Rosh Tevis Mashiach Menachem Shmoy, Yud the Friedrich Rebbe's name, and Daled Deiram, that it comes together. like that's we have the chibur miyad. That's the meaning of the word miyad. Of achados or eser, all these inyanim comes together. So Mamela, we have all the keiches to do miyad, the Rabbi Parshas to be Meisif and Torah, and to teach Torah, and get very involved in teaching and being a good Machayev Torah. Take me on Mamish with all the Pirushim of miyad, we should come and onimdik from the Pirush HaPashut, Gleichitz der Mamish, we should have the Gula HaMitzvah Hashem.